Okay, so welcome. This is our bonus sales call. So we're going to talk about closing the deal and how to step into your leadership in sales. So this really, sales is an opportunity for you to grow yourself as a leader, for you to grow personally, spiritually. And so we're going to talk about that today, okay? Now, I just want to say that I am not an expert on this topic. I still have things to learn, and it's not. I don't claim myself to be an expert, but I do have good success with sales. So I feel confident. I feel comfortable doing sales conversations. I have good success with them. And I'm also learning. And so with my coach right now, who is I'm in the Wealthy Goddess year-long coaching program with Kendra Thornberry, and it's all about wealth consciousness. And so as I'm up-leveling my own wealth consciousness, I'm passing that on to you guys too. And so she did a sales training recently, which I thought was so timely. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to take the information I'm getting from her. I'm going to take the information that I know already, and I'm going to bring that to you. So that's what this is about today. So what I'd like to do is, we're just going to have a conversation, and then I really want to see where you get stuck, where your fears are around sales, what questions you have that we can sort of, address and talk about together, either today or if we end up doing a follow-up to this. So if there's any point that you have a question or you want to give feedback, go ahead and type it in the chat if you can't talk. Or if you can talk, then just raise your hand and we'll talk about it right here live, okay? All right, so let's get started. Just take a moment to get grounded. So just check in with your body and kind of see how you're feeling right now in this moment. And if you're able to close your eyes and just do a body scan, see how you're feeling, and go ahead and take a nice deep breath. And exhale. And I want you to begin just really connecting to yourself, connecting to your heart. You can put your hand on your heart, just connecting to your heart. And the part of you that really is here to make a difference, the part of you that's here to serve others, that's here to share your gifts with others, and connecting to your heart and opening it more and expanding it so that you can receive and so that you can give equally. Just really getting into that heart-centered space right now as we begin this conversation about sales. And noticing any feelings you might be having, anything that could be tripping you up, anything that in your body that might get tight, or anything that you're feeling at all around the word sales. I just want you to notice what's happening for you there. And I want you to turn your attention to this expansion, this expanded place where you're stepping into, you're up-leveling yourself. Your mind is open to learning new things. Your heart is open to receiving. And you're ready to up-level and step into this expanded place so that you can serve on a deeper level. You can serve in a much bigger way, and you can be compensated in a way that matches the energy that you're putting out and the impact. So taking a nice deep breath in and releasing anything that doesn't serve you. And another nice deep breath in and releasing. Okay. All right, Jen, I see you. You're here just eating peanut butter. All right. So I want to talk about what sales actually is. Okay, so if any of you had any yucky feelings or have any yucky feelings when you think about sales, raise your hand or put a little me in the chat box. I want to see who has any negative or yucky, weird feelings about sales. Okay, so Jen's me sometimes and Tanji sometimes I do. So sometimes I'm curious to know what the sometimes is about. So if you could just type that in too, that would be helpful. So because sometimes you are and sometimes you're not. So what is the distinction there? I'd like to know what that is. The idea of making a sale reminds me of used car salesmen. Okay. Yep. But the act of making a sale is really exciting and happy. Okay. Yes. Good to know. Okay, Tanji says, just what we discussed yesterday. It's when I feel parents can't afford what I have to offer, yet I know it is my gremlins. Okay. So, but that only happens sometimes, Tanji? Yeah, it isn't your truth. That's right. So what's the distinction for when it does or doesn't happen? Is it a story that you're making up about the person's ability to pay? So if you think they can pay, then that's not there. Okay. All right, cool. So what this tells me is that for Jen, it's this idea that you have about that you're associating with the word sales. That feels like a yucky car salesman that's going to sell to you, and that doesn't feel good. And then the idea, but the act of making the sale. So it's the idea of the sales call that doesn't feel good, but the act of making a sale is really exciting and happy. So what's exciting and happy about that for you, Jen? There's so many shady people out there doing shady things and taking money for not much in return. I don't want to be associated with that. Okay. Yes. So there's definitely some room to really step into your value and your values, right? Like your worth, your value, and then your values. And Jen, you have a very clear value of integrity, right? Of providing value, and so it's really about owning that. It's honoring and owning that that really is who you are and what's important to you. And if you own that and that's who you are and you know that, then there's less of a need to feel like you're going to be portrayed a certain way, right? Because you are not that which you think people are going to portray you as. You know, you really aren't that. And so so there's this like wall between who you are, right, and then the way you think you're going to be portrayed. So, and this goes into, you know, we're going to go into this a little bit in a little bit, but it goes into feeling the need of approval from other people, right? Like, so this is like a big thing that blocks us from sales conversations is, you know, our need to please, our need to be, you know, feel approved, to get approval from other people, right? And what if we could just get that out of the way? What if we could just remove that need for approval? Like, what would we be able to accomplish then? What would we be able to do if that block was removed?
Can I ask you a question related to that? Because I've actually been really good recently about reaching out to people and feeling good about how I'm doing it, but then it's the follow through of closing the deal. Like I feel like I've been good about putting myself out there, reaching out to people, sharing information that they've really been open to receive, but then how do you make it come to fruition and actually make the sale?
Yeah. Okay, great. Good. So we're going to cover that. Okay. So we're going to definitely talk about closing the deal and handling objections and all of that. Okay. So Jen B, who just joined us, we just did a grounding exercise, and then we're talking about, what comes up for you when you think about the word sales. Is there anything like ugly attached to that for you? Do you have any feelings around that? And, and then I asked, what was the question when you guys said sometimes? When I said, oh, are there feelings like that? And both Tanji and Jen War said, yes, sometimes. And so they were both giving me an explanation of what that was for them, right? Like what comes up for them. So if you want to chime in here, you can. And I don't know if you're able to talk.
Yeah, I think for me, when I'm really passionate about something, I can talk about it, like I can sell you because it's through passion. But then when it comes to like the asking for a price or what I'm really worth, then I kind of probably discount it more than I should, because I've done some events, like I'll do a wedding and in my head I'm like, okay, this is how much I know I offer. And then like as I'm talking to them, I kind of get involved, and then I say, and then I kind of will throw in freebies or something. And I'm like, why did I just do that? Like I kind of discount myself, even though I know I'll over deliver on a project. But I think it really is just the whole money thing. I there is some block there, and I don't know how to explain it.
Okay. Okay. So there's definitely a thing about standing in your value, right? So you have value to offer, like that's in your mind, but it doesn't translate when you put it out there and you name your price, or you feel like you have to over deliver, or give more to prove your value, right?
Right. Yeah, I think that's true, because even like as I'm, offering something, I'm like, I don't want to offer what other people are telling me I should. And I don't know what that is, but even like with my workshops, they're like, oh, you should do it for $99. And I'm like, well, but $59 sounds good to me. And I want to reach as many people as I can. And if it's too high a price, then I'm limiting. When to me, it's all about connecting. And so there is that little. So I think what I really need to learn is how to talk to someone and express my value. I need to know how you do it. Like when we've had conversations about this, and you're expressing like your value, I need to do the same thing.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep. Okay. All right. Cool. So, okay. And then, do you guys see how all of this, everything you've all said, is all mindset? It's all mindset, right? All mindset. So we're going to get to all of this. This is good, and thank you for sharing, because it helps me to know what is standing in your way. So closing the deal, valuing your worth, being able to express your value, stating your price and having that equate to the value that you offer. And then being able to shift your story so that you're not, this is the one for Tanji, like with you, about believing people can't afford it, right? So it's like you're trying to protect or take care of, or, other people, but it actually really does a disservice to them, right? Because you're not seeing them as naturally creative, resourceful, and whole. You're seeing them as somebody you need to protect or whatever. And so, and then that also devalues your work, because then you're saying, okay, well, if they can't afford it, they can just pay this, but you've set a price for your work, right? And there's something energetically that you're receiving. So when you're devaluing your work in that way to accommodate where you think they are, you're giving away your power, for one. You're buying into their story, right? You're buying into us. And it might not even be their story. It might be a story that you've made up on their behalf, right? So, so there's all of that. And so the bottom line really is that sales is about mindset. And it's also it's an opportunity for us to step into our leadership, to own our own value and worth, to spiritually grow and transform, and to transform limiting beliefs that we have about ourselves and about what's possible, right? And so this is going to be a practice, because deep beliefs don't get turned around overnight, right? Like, it took a long time to get there. And so it's going to be a process of first identifying, okay, what is the belief? Where am I getting stuck? What's the work that needs to be done here? And then it's going to be just forming a new belief and reinforcing that new belief with action, right? So you're all going to get the opportunity to practice these new ways of being that are going to support who you truly are at the core, right? Like who you are deeply on a spiritual level, and what you're capable of and what you're deserving of. You know, you're going to really be able to tap into and access that in a greater way when you're just practicing this stuff. So don't worry about it if you suck at it right now. We're going to practice and you're going to get good. Okay. So that's my intention for you, for all of us. Okay. So Jen asking how to express value of service versus product, and is that different? And yes, absolutely it is. And so, okay, hold on. I think I maybe misread that, but yes. So if you're selling a product versus a service, that's the question. Yeah. So really, you guys, the bottom line, and let me just get into the training, because I think some of this will be answered for you as we go through. But the bottom line here is that you're not selling them on you, and you're not selling them on a product. So when we can shift ourselves out of the me and into the we, right? Like move it from a me to a we, move it off of yourself. This isn't about you. Okay, this is about really you enrolling people in their dreams. Okay, that's what sales is about. When you can have a conversation with somebody that's empowering for both of you, right? When it's empowering for you and it's empowering for them, and they get to a clear yes or a no, right? So it's not about, this isn't about personal rejection. Most of us make the mistake of taking things personally, and we're afraid to have the sales conversation because we're afraid of rejection. And when we can learn to take ourselves out of it, and when we can make it not about us, but about a transformation, about a change, about a vision, right? About a fulfillment of something new, you know, helping people solve a problem, helping people step into something. When we can make it about that, and it's no longer about you, then you're not going to be attached to the yes or the no, right? You're not going to be attached to the yes or the no, because it's not dependent on, like, you need to make the sale because you need money, you need to pay your rent, or you need to get medical insurance, or you want to contribute to your kid's school. It's not about that, because when you come from that place, it's a place of lack, it's a place of neediness, and the energy is different there. So when you can come into it from a place of that this is about me having a product or a service that I can provide that can help you solve a problem that you have. And if you're ready to solve that problem, you're showing up on this call. You're saying, I'm here, I want to change this problem, and I have the solution for you, then it's a no-brainer, right? It's a no-brainer. If you think I can solve the problem that you have, then you're ready to solve that problem, you're going to say yes. Okay, the objections, and we'll get into objections later, but the money objections, the time objections, that I have to talk to my spouse objections, all of that, they're not true objections. They are people wanting to stay in their fear, right? People not consciously wanting to stay in their fear, but this is the only way that they know how to operate, right? Like, we tell ourselves the same stories over and over and over again. So if you're telling somebody, I can't afford it, I don't have the money right now, it's not in my bank account, I don't know how I'm going to come up with the money, whatever. I guarantee it's not the first time you've said that. Right? So it gives us a certain level of comfort to be in that space of telling this story. We've been telling the same story, and our clients have been telling the same story to themselves over and over and over again. So we're doing a pattern interrupt. When you're having a sales conversation, it's a pattern interrupt. You're breaking a pattern, right? And there's going to be some resistance to that. And so when the resistance comes up, it comes up in the form of objections. And when somebody objects, you do not stop there. That is not the place to stop. That is the place for a breakthrough for them. It's a place to get curious. It's a place to look at what is coming up for them, right? What are the objections? It's a place to ask questions, to be the detective, to uncover, what's underlying the objections, right? Because when you can get to that place of what's underlying the objections, like if somebody just really is scared and they can say, you know what, like, yeah, I really want to, and yeah, I don't have the money in my bank account, but I could probably come up with it, but I'm scared. I'm afraid I'm not going to commit to it. I'm afraid I'm going to let myself down again. I'm afraid I'm going to whatever, right? Like whatever their fears are. If you can get to the heart of that, then you can truly stand in the place of supporting them to make an empowered choice, right? You can support them to say, okay, is now the time that you're ready to draw the line in the sand? Are you really ready to commit? Is this change you say you want, this vision that you have for your life? Are you ready? Are you really ready to have that? Because I can help you do that, but you need to say yes right now, right? And so it's really helping them to take a stand for what they want, and to move through the objections. So I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. I'm just kind of going with what's coming up right now. We will go back to objections again. A few things that have come up in that for me. So I want to kind of backtrack a little bit. The one thing I want to say also, and this is, I know, relevant for some of you, and it was for me, believe me. When I used to do free calls, I would give away the farm. I wanted to help people so badly. I would do a coaching call with them, and I would coach them through the whole call, and I'd help them get to a place where they felt really good. And then guess what? They didn't need me anymore, because in that moment, they felt good and they felt like their problem was solved, right? And then they're like, thanks, awesome, bye, right? So it's like, let me back up, because people need to feel their pain. People need to feel this place that they're in, the stuckness, right? And we need to be comfortable. We need to feel comfortable holding that container and sitting with them in that discomfort, right? We need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable and hold that space for them, because only in that place of discomfort and pain is where someone's going to be motivated enough to make a change, right? That's where they're going to say yes. And if you move them through that quickly and you give them the solution right on the spot, well, bam, they just got a free session out of you, and they don't have that strong need now, right, to get help in this moment. They might later, but then you've just missed the opportunity to work with them and to help them. Okay, so let me just stop here for a second, because I want to read you guys' comments. Amy, enrolling people in their dreams. Yes. Jen, yes, love that too. Amy, what has helped me so much is not being attached to their decision. It's time to get curious and ask questions. Yes, yes. So truly, honestly, if we can detach from the outcome, right? Like if we can go into it saying, yes, I'm going to take a stand for this person and their dreams and what they're telling me they want. You can totally take a stand for them. And this is where the leadership part comes in, right? You're being a leader, you're holding a space for something that you see as possible for this person, and you're inviting them into that, right? So yes, you're taking a stand for them, and you want an outcome for them, right? Like you want them to work with you. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Maybe you decide they're not the right person. But if they are, you can want them to work with you. But it's a different thing to unattach from the outcome. Like you don't need them to say yes. And you're not going to, your business or life doesn't depend on them saying yes, right? And in reality, if you're not making it about you, it's really about them. And so as long as they come to an empowered decision, and this is what I want you guys to really help them with, okay? Do not leave them wallowing in a I don't know, in a I'm on the fence. Like I want it, but. This is an opportunity for you to explore with them what their thought process is, what they're feeling, and to really be honest with what you see and to take a stand for that and to detach from needing to have approval, needing to be liked, right? Like that's not, like if you get on a call with somebody and there's an opportunity for you to help them transform their life and they walk away and that didn't happen because you wanted to be liked, that was a waste. It was a waste. And so if you can truly take a stand for them and say, I don't need to be liked. I'm here to serve. I'm here to serve. And I see an opportunity to serve this person. So I'm going to be truthful. I'm going to be, forthright. I'm going to call what I see, and of course with their permission, you want to do it in a way where, if you see something and you're calling somebody out, you want to say, oh, I see it. I made an observation. Is it okay if I share it with you? Or is it okay if I give you feedback on this, and get their permission. They say yes, then you share, because the people who are ready to make a change are going to appreciate honesty. They're going to appreciate being reflected back to them what you see. And the people that don't are not your ideal client. They're not ready. They're not ready to do the work. They're not your ideal client. And that's okay. And it's okay to say, it's a no. It's a no for me, or it's a no for them. That's okay, right? But if it's a yes, sometimes you have to help people get to that yes. You have to help remove the clutter so that they can see clearly the path, right? So that's what a sales conversation is about. So let's go a little bit into the process of a sales conversation, because you should always have a script with you, kind of like follow a script so that you don't veer off and go down all these tangents. You want to try and, like, if you can do a sales call in a 30-minute call, that's the ideal, right? Like to be able to get it down to 30 minutes where you can just zoom in, right? And you're not solving their problems, and you're not, because I'm hearing noise. Okay, it's not, okay, it's not solving their problem, and it's not coaching them on a call. Really, you're not in a coaching relationship with somebody yet, right? So you're not really going to be coaching them. You're having a conversation. It's more of a conversation. Okay, so I'm going to go through this kind of the template for what you want to do. I just want to read, Tangi, exactly what you talk about in your book and course. When we feel triggered by others is because somewhere we may have felt unloved and appreciated and accepted for who we were as children. So it's great to see where we feel afraid of the objections, rejections. Yep, is exactly stemming from where we didn't feel the approval as children. Time to shift that mindset. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And actually, let me just have you do this little exercise right now before we go into the outline for the sales conversation. When you think of objections, right? When you think of having a sales conversation and you think of objections, I want you to write down, what do I think it means to me when somebody objects? You know, what does it mean to me, or what do I think it means when somebody objects to you, right? Not to you, but, you know, when you're having a sales conversation with them, what is that? What do you think that means? And I think it's important to get clear on what that means to you so that you can identify, you know, is it like if they object, does it mean that I'm not good enough? Does it mean I don't have value? Does it mean that, you know, I did something wrong? What does it mean? What does it mean to you? And you can type it in. Yeah, type it in the chat if you can. So, Jen War, I think my struggle comes from the assumptions people make about the types of company I work with. Okay. Amy, it means they aren't ready. They don't believe in themselves. They don't understand the value in it. Not sure if that's what you mean. Okay. So what does it mean? So yeah, Amy, that is, that's actually the place I want you to get to, is making it more about them. But what does it mean for you personally? Like, when you think about objections, do you make it personal? You know, what comes up for you personally? Like, I'm not good enough, or, you know, I don't have value. I didn't do a good enough job. Kat says they aren't sold on the product. Hi, Kat. And then Jenmore says, I don't really take it personally. I feel like they're rejecting the business model. Okay. So it just happened this week. Okay. All right. Okay. So good. All of this stuff. That's what I think too, with the business model. All right. So it sounds like most of you guys are not taking it personally. When you think of objections, you're not taking it personally. It's more of they don't like the product. They're not ready. Right. They don't understand the business, you know, has something more to do with them. Right. So that's good news, because when you're not afraid to have the sales conversations because you're not making it about you, their objections, then you can really have a conversation with them about their objections and what's coming up without feeling attached to it, right? So like, oh, what does that look like for you? Or, you know, what does that mean to you? Or, you know, whatever questions that come up as their objections come up. And we'll get into that in a minute. So here's what I want to take you through now. Let's look at, okay, and Amy says, you get mostly stuck after they say the money objection. Okay. Okay, so we'll talk about that. All right, so let's look at the sales conversation. So how many of you have a script or kind of like a guideline, outline that you follow when you have sales conversations? I want to see who does and who does not. Just let me know. Yes, no. Yes, no. Yeah. So Amy, you end up saying, I totally understand. So you're stopping at the objection, right? So the opportunity here for you will be to how to move through the objections and really stand in the place of what they say they want. You know, the objection is the gremlin, right? And the gremlin's running the show. And when we buy into the objections, we are no longer the leader. We are no longer leading the conversation. We have now bought into their gremlin. Okay, Tanji, you have it. Jen, it's different all the time. Okay. Yep, it's not the real truth, Amy. It's just what they're believing, but you still stop. Okay, well, time for a breakthrough with that. All right, so some of you have something, some of you don't. It's kind of loose, so let's go through it, okay? So basically, a sales conversation should comprise of 3 things, okay? Number 1 is you want to see what their challenge is. So when you're getting them on the phone, but you'll stop. Good, Amy. But you still stop. Oh, you're going to stop doing that, right? So you get them on the phone, okay, or in person or wherever you may be having your conversation. And you want to ask them about their challenge, right? So why are they here? What do they need help with? What is their biggest challenge when it comes to parenting, when it comes to weight loss, when it comes to their health, when it comes to connecting with their daughter, when it comes to fashion, whatever it may be that is your thing, right? Like, what is their biggest challenge? And you want to get a good sense of why they're here now, right? Like why they're in the place that they're in, and you can get that information from them sharing with you what their challenge is. Okay, so the key here, okay, because oftentimes people will stop with kind of like the first response. So you say, okay, what's your challenge? What's your biggest challenge? And you are wanting to create a safe space for them to open up and to really share, right? You want them to feel safe enough to get to the heart of what their real challenge is, because if they're able to get to the heart of the matter, they're going to trust you, you're going to build that rapport, they're going to be being honest with what's going on for them, and then it creates this safe space and this open area for you guys to explore together to see what some possible solutions are, how you might be able to help them, right? But what you want to do is, after they talk about their challenge, you want to ask them again, is there anything else? What else, right? What else? And keep asking that until there's nothing else, right? Because oftentimes what you're doing is you're peeling back the layers of the challenge. So they'll say it's this, but in reality, it actually might be this layer 3 levels down that you've uncovered because you said, okay, what else? What else? And it got them thinking deeper and deeper, right? So ask a few times, okay? And then the second thing that you want to do is you want to get their vision, okay? So now you want to ask them, okay, what is your vision? Like, what would you like to have in this area of your life? Like, what would that look like for you? And help them create their vision. And some people may have a hard time with that, so you might have to ask clarifying questions, but you can ask them, what is it that you really want? And let them paint this picture for themselves and for you, okay? So you can see what they really want and where they're headed. And what happens here is that they've laid out the problem. Now they've laid out the vision. And guess what? They're in that gap. It shows the gap between where they are and where they want to be, right? There's a gap there. And that's where you come in. That's the solution that you are, or your product is, or your service is, right? So you're kind of creating this picture for them and for you of where they are, what their problem is, where they want to go. Okay. Now, oftentimes people will go into story, right? They're going to go into story a lot. So you want to ask their permission early on and say, is it okay if I jump in or cut you off if you start to go into your story too much? Because I'd like to, I really feel like it's important to hear what you have to say, and I want to make sure we stay on track, right? And so ask them if it's okay if you jump in and cut them off if they start going off too much on their story. We don't really need story. We don't need story. Story is nice. We like to hear story. We feel maybe like we can connect more with people hearing their story. The reality is that most people will stay in their story and it's disempowering, right? They want to keep telling about their past, and it's disempowering. And so what we're trying to do as coaches, as as consultants, as leaders, what we're trying to do is move people from where they are to where they want to be. We don't want them to stay stuck in their stories. That doesn't do them any good. So if they're going off on a tangent, we want to be able to jump in and say, okay, I'm going to jump in now, and I just want to redirect you. I'm going to bring you back. Okay. So Okay. So then, let me just look at my notes. So we want them to get specific with their vision. So when we're really helping them paint the picture of their vision, so what would that look like? And what would you be doing? And how would you feel? You know, we want to touch on all of the senses and all of the areas, and have them really get into this feeling space of what's possible for them, right? So if they want to have this really connected relationship with their daughter and their spouse, right? And they right now they're feeling really disconnected. They feel like there's a lot of breakdowns. They feel like there's not a lot of communication. They feel like, you know, whatever the case may be. But they see a possibility, right? Like, oh, I really want to have, you know, let's say it's with their partner. You know, I really want to have strong communication. I want to have date nights. I want to feel heard, and I want to feel loved and cherished. And I want to, you know, spend a lot of time with my partner. And I want us to just really deeply connect, you know. And so then you could say, well, what would you be doing if you were connecting, right? Like, this is what I mean about getting specific. So it's like, well, what would you be doing if you were connecting? You know, what would that look like? Or how would that be? How many date nights would you like to have? You know, what would be ideal for you? You know, how are you feeling when you guys are really connected? Right? Like when you're having that affection that you're really craving right now, what does that feel like to you? And then what's possible from that place, you know, what becomes possible, right? So you see, you're helping them get really specific and clear and into a feeling state, and to where they can actually see it and feel it, rather than like just this not random, but just this like vague idea of what they want, right? Because they're not going to be connected to that, and it's not going to like drive and pull them toward it, right? We want them to like be able to feel it and see it, so they can be like, oh, I want that. I really want that, and I can see that, right? And then, okay, so then the third step is going to be closing the gap, right? So now you've identified their problem, you've identified their vision, now you want to close the gap for them. So you want to ask them, what do you think the solution is? Rather than telling them what you think the solution is for them, you want to ask them, what do you think the solution is? Because they either already know, or by you asking that question, it's going to get them to think in a different way, right? And they might say, I don't know, you know, and it's okay for them not to know. And then after they give you the solution, similar to what you did with their challenge, when you said, is there anything else, right? You asked it again, and what else? What other challenges do you have? You want to do that here again too. So is there anything else? Just keep asking, right? So they might say, the solution, well, you know, if my husband could just do this, and, you know, if I could just do that, you know, we could talk more. And then you'd say, okay, is there anything else? Are there any other solutions that you see, right? And keep asking that until there's no more, until they don't have any more. So you want to just keep asking, anything else, anything else. You would be surprised at how resourceful people are. You know, they don't give themselves enough credit. Okay, so people make emotional decisions, right? And then they justify those decisions with their head. So if somebody sees like, I'm in this pain and I can see this possibility and here's the solution, and they believe that you can help them get to that, you know, solution, right? Like you're the one who's going to help them get to that solution. It's a yes. It's a yes. You know, you've done your job, right? You've done your job by helping them, you know, paint this picture. What you want to do, okay, before any objections come up, before you get to the objections, what you want to do is you want to find out how committed they are, right? So you would ask them, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how committed are you to having what you say you want, right? Like they've told you they want this. How committed are you to having it? And if they say, you know, anything less than like a 9 or a 10, really, 8 to 10, but really a 9 or a 10. You want to ask them, okay, what would it take to get to a 10? What would it take? Because what this does is when you're getting them to look at how committed they are, if they're like not committed, then you can just call that out and you can say, okay, well, you said you want this, but you're only committed at a 5. So what's that about, right? Like, this is where you get to get curious and say, what is that about? What is that about? And then if they're, let's say they're a 7 or an 8, you say, okay, well, what would it take to get you to a 9 or a 10, right? What would it take you to get to a 10? Let's go for the 10, right? Because the 10 is like full commitment. That's like, I'm all in. And that's where we want people to be. So, okay, so then once we get them to identify how committed they are, it's helpful because if they're truly committed, then we can hold that. We can stand in that space with them, right? Of saying, okay, they said they're committed at a 10. What does a 10 commitment look like, right? What does a 10 commitment really look like? So when objections come up, you can say, okay, do you believe that what you're saying is consistent with a level 10 commitment? Right? Do you believe what you're saying is consistent with the level 10 commitment? And just get them to look at that and they can go, oh, well, maybe not. So then what has to change, right? Like, what has to change? And if it's going to be probably not, right? Because if you're calling them out on that, it means that they're making excuses. They're bringing up objections, right? So we want to just call that out. Amy, you're getting super excited to try using this script. It sounds like things I would normally say, but so well thought out. Exactly. You know what? It's super, like, what I like about it is that it's a natural process, right? Like, we want to get to know people. We want to find out what they're struggling with. And then we want to find out what they want, because how can we help them if we don't know what their struggles are and what they want, right? So natural. And then, and then the solution part. So do you see how, like, closing the gap, it's not where we're actually going to go into the solution and we're going to solve the problem right there. We're just identifying possible solutions, right? And so, like, if I'm having a conversation with somebody and they're telling me, I really want to start my business and I'm just struggling because it's hard to find the time. I'm not clear. I don't know where to start, and I just feel like I feel overwhelmed, right? And so I can say, okay, well, that's exactly what I can provide. I can help you get clear. I can help you figure out exactly where to start in your business so that you know exactly what to focus on, the steps you need to take, and to create a schedule so that you're honoring your deepest values while, you're really focusing on your business as well. You're making that time and that space to focus on your business, right? And so if that's their problem and I feel like I can help them with that, I'm going to say that. I'm going to say, that's exactly what I do. That's exactly what I do, right? Okay, let me just peek here. I want to go back for a second before we really go into the objections. I think I covered most of my notes here. So yes, I did. Okay, so all right. So let's go on. So what you want to do is you're going to say, okay, I can help you with that, right? And then you're going to say, this is exactly what my program or my product, offers, right? This is exactly what it addresses. And then you're just going to ask them, do you want to work together? Do you want to buy my product or my program, right? And then they may say, yes, you know, I want it, or they may have questions. They may say, how much is it, right? And what you're going to do is you're just going to say, this is the price, right? It's $997, period. Be quiet after that. You just say the price and don't talk anymore, okay? Then they will either say, oh, that sounds great. Where do I sign up? Or they will say, oh, well, that sounds like a lot, or oh, I can't afford it, or oh, I don't have time, or boop, 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 right? Here's where the objections come in. So, but what I want you to get, you guys, is when you are stating your price, and Gen B, this is for you in particular based on what you told me today. Get your price, and when it gets to the price conversation, you state your price and you be quiet, okay? And let them respond. And then you go from there, right? So do you think you can do that? Try that. Know your price in your head. Don't make up a price in the moment. Like, know your prices in advance. State your price. Unattach from it, you know, just state it matter-of-factly. It's going to cost you $10,000. You know, the investment is $997. Okay? All right, I'm just trying to make that point. So, okay, and then when they go into their objections, you might ask them, what is it going to cost you if you don't take action, if you don't make the decision today to do something different, right? If you keep doing what you've been doing, what is that going to cost you? You want to have them see that there actually is a cost to not taking action, right? They're going to keep getting what they have, and maybe worse if they don't take action, if they don't get the support that they need to have what they say they want, right? So ask, what is that going to cost you? And then ask them again, and what else? Is there anything else that's going to cost you? You know? So remember to keep digging with these questions. Don't leave it to the first answer. Don't leave any stone unturned. You want to make sure that they've had the opportunity to fully explore everything that's, you know, in their space, you know, that could possibly be blocking them from taking action for what they say they want. And this is really about you standing your ground. It's about you holding the container for them to have this transformation that you can help provide, right? That's what this is about. Okay, so let me stop and read this real quick. The investment is, I don't have my notebook out here, so I'm typing things to remember. Okay, good. Tanji, so for my last call tonight, since it's not a sales call individually, would I just say my 3-month program is, because they took the course and committed to it, should I give a special bonus instead of $125 an hour? What I would probably do is just set up a call individually with people, you know, and just say, I'd like to do a follow-up call with you. And on that call, you can ask them, how was the program? What did they get from it? You know, what was the value they received? Maybe you can get a testimonial from that. And then have the sales conversation with them, you know, in that one-on-one. That's how I would do it. And yeah, it's always fine. Like if you want to offer a special rate for people who've worked with you before, you know, and you could say, because you took my program, you know, you get this special rate, and you could give them some type of a discount, you know, off of what your normal price would be. But make sure that you're not discounting it so much that you don't feel good about it. You know what I mean? Like that it doesn't meet your what you need to make, you know, energetically. Okay. The call for you. Okay. Yeah. How was the call for you? How was the series? What did you get? You can get a testimonial from them, hopefully at that point, or you can ask them to write something if they, got good value from it. And then you could share what you could say, I'd like to continue to work with you. I see some opportunities for you. And, and then just have the sales conversation with them about, where are they currently? You could share what you see for them, right? Like ask them what they see for themselves. And acknowledge the progress that they've made. And you can say, in 6 weeks, you've made some steps forward. Imagine what we could do in 3 months or 6 months, working together. Right. So yeah. All right. Any other questions at this point? I just want to, we're going to continue. We're going to go into the objections part of it. But I just want to pause and see if anybody has any other questions right now about anything that I've covered so far.
Justine, can you hear me?
I can.
You can? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm sitting in Starbucks. I pulled over so I could take notes.
Okay.
I feel like, and I don't know if everyone else is feeling this, I feel like we're all in a position, or okay, for me, like I'm really excited about what I'm doing. And because of that, I feel like I'm comfortable asking and using this, but like before I might have been like a little just apprehensive about it because maybe I just wasn't in that space. But now that I'm getting there, I'm like, oh yeah, this looks easy. Like this looks doable.
It's what?
Does that make sense?
I didn't hear the last part.
Oh, I said because I'm in the right space and like this momentum, and because I'm so passionate about what I'm really doing,
Yeah.
that I'm looking at like writing the script and I'm looking at it going, this sounds doable. Like
Yeah.
instead of me asking for money, I feel like it's because I want to help you. So it's coming from a place of service,
Yes.
but and just the money is just like an exchange.
Yes.
I guess if that makes sense.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you're in a space where you feel really good about what you're doing and that you're realizing that this, it feels doable and it feels kind of exciting because it's about helping people in the transformation and it's not just about you asking for their money, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Amy says, yes, same to that. And Jen, where it's hailing over there. Ah! Oh boy. Okay. So yeah, that's, I'm so happy to hear that. I'm happy that you're in that space and I hope this is helping. And I hope that it's making it feel doable and easy and exciting for you guys. Okay, anybody else? Yes, you're welcome, Tanji. Yay. I'm excited because I can't wait to hear back from you guys, like what occurred when you have your next sales conversations, right? And like I said earlier, it's a practice. So don't get discouraged if you don't close the deal the first time or the second time. It's totally a process, right? And you're going to get better and better at it every time you do it. And it's going to feel more natural to you and who you are because you're going to bring your own personality, your own style, your own questions. You're going to bring all of that into it, right? So this is not like a script you have to follow. It's more of like, kind of like it's an outline. It's a formula kind of thing, but then you get to make it your own, right? And bring your own personality into it and make it feel authentic to you, right? And when you do that, can you see how much different it is coming into a sales conversation from the place of has nothing to do with me, and at the end of the day, I'm not attached to the outcome, I'm here to help this person make an empowered choice that can help them, right? And when you come to it from this place of service, right, it feels different than it does when you go, oh my gosh, I got to get on a call with this person. I got to sell them my program, right? I got to sell them my product. How am I going to do that? And this feels yucky and ugh. And what if they can't afford it? And what if they don't like what I have to say? And what if they reject me? And what, you know, like all the what ifs, right? So it's a shift. It's taking everything off of that and shifting it into this place of we, you know, of co-creating and of holding a space for somebody else. And that's why it's a leadership conversation. That's why you have to show up as a leader, because they're looking for help. They're looking for direction. They're looking for support. And you can provide that for them. So if at any time in the conversation, their gremlin takes over, then you've stepped out of your leadership. Okay, so all you have to do is say, oh, I noticed that the gremlin is in charge here. The gremlin has stepped in and is bringing in these ideas. And what I know to be true is this, right? So now you've redirected the conversation in a way that's more empowering, more uplifting, more of a place of possibility, which is what your client needs for you to do. They need you to hold that space for them. They can't do it for themselves, you know? That's what a sales conversation is about, right? And at the end of the day, they get to decide whether they're ready or not. That's up to them. You have to detach from that, whether they choose a yes or a no. You know, you can't control if somebody's going to ultimately be ready, you know, and if they're not ready, you don't want them as a client. You don't want them buying your product. You don't want that, because it's not going to be what's in the highest service to all. And if they are ready, then it's your job to help them see how ready they are and to move past any objections that may come up. Okay? Okay. Let me see. Amy, super helpful. Do you have a document with the words you've been saying? Ugh, no. I don't, but I can create something. I took notes, but it's not all the words. Clear, I know. And you know what? Sometimes, I know, thanks for giving me homework, Amy. But sometimes, you know, I just create in the moment too. Like some of it I have written down, but then I go off on my own little tangents and the words come up and I don't even know what I said. But I'll do my best to like create some kind of succinct document. Yeah, Tanji's typing notes she could send to everybody. Awesome. Okay, cool. We'll get it one way or another. And also, my mentor, my coach, she has a document. And so I'll ask her if it's okay if I share that with you guys, okay? That would be really, really helpful. Or I'll take certain pieces of it that I think would be helpful for you and just ask her if I can share that, okay? All right, cool. So, okay, now, going back to the costs, right? So we are asking them, what is the cost? Ooh, we're at the end of our time too, I just realized. Okay, I think we're gonna have to have a part 2, you guys. What do you think? Why don't we do this? Why don't we make, let's set up another call where we'll go into the objections, right, and closing the deal. So this will be the part where we'll cover the I can't afford it, the I don't have time, the I have to ask my husband, all of that, right? And we'll cover that. We'll do the closing the deal, and then we'll do some role playing on the next call. How's that? Cool? Okay, yes, please, yes, please. All right, awesome. Yay.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Okay, I have to ask my husband. That's the one I get the most. Yep. So yeah, so we'll talk about that, and we'll do some role playing, and so you guys can just knock it out of the park, okay? And then, yeah. So let's go ahead and close out this call, and then I'm going to look at my schedule, and I will put it out there, and hopefully everybody can make hopefully everybody can make it to part 2 of our sales call. Isn't this fun, you guys? This is so fun. I love it. I love it. Okay, so Amy, you'll admit you used it on people too. So yeah, right? So that's where we have to get to the bottom of, like, is this, is it really about, you know, I've made a choice and it's a yes, but I just want to check with my husband and make sure, you know, or is it like, I can't make a decision, you know, without my husband, like I'm dependent on him to make a decision, right? Like, so it's getting that distinction too, because sometimes it's legitimate, you know, like you have certain agreements with your husband, but other times it's just an excuse, right? So yeah, so we'll get into that. And it's interesting to look at, as we're doing this, like, what are your patterns? What are the things that you typically use? You know, what are your stories when you're making a decision? What holds you back from saying yes when you really want to say yes, right? Oh, don't have money. Oh, don't have time. Oh, I gotta ask my husband. So those are the 3 most common ones. So we'll go over those next time. We'll do some role playing. You'll have a little bit of time to distill down these notes we went over today, and if you have any questions about any of that comes up between now and then. And if you do have a sales call between now and then, bring that, you know, bring it to the call so we can dissect it, you know, and see what went well, what didn't, how can we help you make it stronger, right? All right, so let's close out. I'd like to hear your one biggest takeaway today, actually. So type in your one biggest takeaway from our conversation today. It could be multiple things. I mean, if you had multiple ahas, that's cool too. Go ahead and share, you know, just something that stood out for you today that you think is going to be really helpful for you. Doesn't stop at the money objection. Yes, yes, yes. Yep, that's going to be your breakthrough right there. So our next call is going to be super important for you, Amy, right? Ask if there's anything else and keep asking that until they're done. Yep. Oh my gosh, such gold in that, right, Jen War. Tanji, my biggest takeaway, being more curious and asking more questions. Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh. So important, because that takes away the, like, you know it all, or, you know, you're the authority and they're the victim or whatever, right? But you're just really getting curious about what their process is, right? And that will help uncover a lot. Gen War, don't come from a place of lack. Yes, and yes, we're good students, Amy says. Yes, you are. Jen, where I'm a fixer, so I go in to fix it for them, and to fix it for them mode quickly, and then I need to slow down. Yes, yes. You can't fix anything, even if you believe you can't fix anything in, you know, a 30-minute call. This is like a deeper underlying thing they have going on that's going to take time to address, right? So, Tanji, which is all the life coaching is about, the conversation formula was my biggest takeaway. Yeah, good. Okay, awesome. Yay. All right, and I think Jen B's still on, and I wonder if that Cherie's.
I'm on, but for some reason Zoom won't let me see my chat, so I can't type anything.
Okay, well, I read all the stuff, so hopefully you heard it. What was your?
Yeah, perfect. Like really peeling back the layers, and I actually feel like that's probably one of my qualities, because I'm a question expert, and so I do a lot of this. I think I just stop when it comes to like asking for, you know, giving a price. Yeah. And I'm actually going to be doing a lot of this, because I'm going to have conversations like this all the time over the next month, getting people to my workshop. Yep. And so I'm going to just come from a place of not lack, like Jen said, and just be confident, because I know what I'm offering. So I'm going to just push it to the next level. So it all was really
good. Awesome. Now, did you get the part when I said state your price and stop, right?
Yes, I was listening to all that. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Because I keep going. I'm like, oh, and then I don't give them a chance to faster.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, awesome. Very good, everyone. Thank you. Thank you so much. That was really fun. I really enjoyed that. So I'll look forward to our next call, and I'll reach out to you with the date, okay? All right. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. You're welcome. You're welcome, Jen.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.